Hey you guys, I'm Andrea Olson with the Go Diaper Free podcast. Today I'm just getting ready to record episode 147. It's all about what would an Indigenous person say about pottying their baby and why they do it. So let's dive right in. Please hit subscribe and the bell for notifying me to notify you about my next video. And also hit the like button so that more people learn about EC. Let's do this. Welcome to the Go Diaper Free podcast, where we're all about helping you stop using diapers as early as birth. I'm your host, Andrea Olson, author and mom of 5 babies, all EC'd from birth, all out of diapers by walking, no potty training necessary. This is episode 147. What would an Indigenous person say about pottying their baby? So you can read the written version of today's show over at godiaperfree.com/147, where I will also link to some of the things I mentioned in today's episode. I'll also be replying to comments over there, so come on by when you're finished, including if you have any questions. So what would an Indigenous person say about pottying their baby? How do babies go diaper-free in Indigenous cultures? And do babies even wear diapers today in today's world in intact communities and third world countries? So today I'm going to answer Emily's question about the attitudes Indigenous women have toward pottying their babies in third world countries. And I try to pull together the pieces of what we know today. So here's Emily's question. She was in Rabat, Morocco at the time of asking this question. So all over in different parts of the world. She said, after reading your very thorough book, it's hard to think of a question, but I guess sometimes I wonder what the attitudes towards EC are in other countries. Not just the practice, but the attitudes. For instance, it's such an easy thing to mention China and India and the Amazonian tribes from the continuum concept. And to say that, oh, they just hold their baby over a trash can or a bowl or a pot or the ground or something. Cue, and that's that. But if you asked a mother who has culturally inherited an EC practice, will she explain a philosophy behind it, especially in contrast to diapering? Or is illumination communication a philosophical concept, truly branded and packaged for a Western diaper-dependent audience? What would she say about why she does it? And my answer, hey Emily, thanks for submitting your question. It is indeed unique and one that I had to do a little research on to fully answer. And so here we go. First of all, I have 2 photos of Emily and her little one that she wanted to share. Emily ECing on the bus from Casablanca Airport to Rabat, and Hazel all pinked out. Okay, back to answering Emily's question. Unfortunately, I haven't done any formal interviews yet. I do want to do that. Now that I'm done or almost done having babies, I would really like to go around the world and start interviewing people before it completely disappears. But I haven't done this with those who've inherited the EC practice, just as what they do, but I've spoken casually with folks during travels around the country and the world and learned a little bit, but that wasn't enough for me to confidently answer your question. I wanted you to have something more substantial. So I turned to Lori Bouquet's practically encyclopedic book on EC. It's called Infant Potty Training, and I've linked to it in the show notes, where I recall having read multiple accounts of what we call EC, with folks from intact cultures from all over the world, spanning third world countries such as Africa, or continents and countries in Africa, Asia, South America, other locales around the world. So what I discovered in Lori's book reflected what I was thinking based on my less formal research. So here it is. What would Indigenous women say about why they potty their babies? So I want to answer this part first because I think it helps frame the rest. In infant potty training, the Xhosa, or Xhosa tribe member and Swana tribe member, both from Africa, both registered nurses, both said that they learned how to potty their babies from their mothers. That there is only one system of potty training that had been used and handed down for centuries, and that every female member of the family must cooperate and are expected to assist the mother in pottying her children. So that's paraphrased from pages 323 to 324 from Lori's book, published in 2000. A woman named Stella from a tribe in Uganda, Africa, said in Lori's book, quote, in Ugandan villages, children are toilet trained at a very early age while they are still babies. Just like with everything else, children in villages develop faster than children in cities or in the Western world. We start by the 3rd month and finish before 1 year of age. In Africa, children are always in the company of other people, grown-ups or bigger children, who are always ready to help them with everything, including toilet training. Because of this, the mother does not feel a lot of pressure for time or help with the training. Others take pleasure in helping. This way of training is satisfying and enjoyable. It is part of life. It is our duty, and we do it with patience and love. Everyone in the village knows the way to train the infants. The knowledge is passed from generation to generation. And everybody helps. So that's from page 325 from Lori's book. Stella toilet trained 3 children born to her in Uganda in this manner by the age of 12 months. She is saying that she did it because everyone knows it. It's expected, and it's part of life. For her and the 2 RNs mentioned above, there is no philosophy, only tradition and following a societal norm, which is kind of the same thing we do with the diapering culture, right? We don't question it. There's no philosophy. It's just what people do. So now let's talk about cleanliness and convenience. So others who were quoted or interviewed for Lori's book, Infant Potty Training, mentioned some semblance of philosophy behind why they do it. So first off, many who do the point and shoot, the point and aim method of kind of intuiting a forthcoming pee and aiming the baby away from the body, do it for cleanliness purposes, straight up. They don't want to become soiled and have no diapers in the first place. So of course they're going to move the baby away and be in tune with that. Generally, the point and aim method is used before crawling or walking and is followed closely by the teaching portion of the training of reinforcing where to go potty, generally outside. So this second portion, which begins when the baby becomes mobile, is modeled by the older children in the village and the adults in the community. It's first just what we do, and second, it's taught how far away from the house am I supposed to go potty. So there again, there's no philosophy behind this second portion other than convenience. Okay, we want them to go outside. It's convenient and clean. It is necessary to keep their homes sanitary and clean. And the social component of baby raising reinforces that when I can move myself outside, when I'm physically able to go outside, I will do that because that's what everyone else does. All right. The teaching component of the second phase of EC and Indigenous intact cultures is necessary to make it even more convenient for the family to take care of the home, leading back to cleanliness, as I mentioned previously. So, convenience and cleanliness. Do the women mention a philosophy behind doing inherited EC in an intact Indigenous culture? In that book, nope, they sure don't. They do it for cleanliness and convenience. They do it because that's what their kin have always done. There is no diapering culture to compare it to yet, although some are changing quite rapidly. So they just do it as their duty with pleasure, with the support of the entire community. Where there are some diapers now available, the philosophy becomes one of trying to save as many of those precious, expensive diapers as possible. So even the more affluent potty their babies to save money. They still do it. So now let's talk about the EC philosophy in the U.S. Yep, you guessed it, Emily. The EC philosophy here in the U.S. is indeed branded toward and packaged for a diaper-dependent culture. That's what trailblazers like Christine Gross-Low, Natek, Lori Bouquet, and Ingrid Bauer set out to do. Bridge the gap between the diaper-dependent culture and an alternative to diaper dependence that's been practiced in native cultures for over 200,000 years, all of human history in this current form. It's absolutely packaged in the Western world for our culture, who have depended on commercial cloth diapers for over 150 years and disposable diapers for over 60 years. Some bits and pieces of the United States elimination communication philosophy include: number 1, we don't want our babies sitting in their refuse. Number 2, we don't want to wait until 2 to 3 years old to start potty training. Number 3, we want a deeper connection with our babies. And number 4, we want to honor our babies' diverse ways of communicating. Like, they're telling us something and we want to know what that is and help them. And number 5, diapers don't feel right to many of us. I believe we're on number 6. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Number 6, diapers are causing our babies issues such as diaper rash or diapering battles, like pinning a baby down to get a diaper on them or trying to tape it on, which some people I know have done. And we want to honor our environment and make less of an impact to both landfill and natural resources. That's number 7. You know that just in 2009, so this is way more now, 27.4 billion diapers are landfilled in the U.S. alone as of that year, and none of them have ever biodegraded ever. So everything thrown away since 1961 is still laying exactly as it was back then and accumulated over time. It's the third largest part of our waste stream, and nobody in waste management can figure out how to deal with this. This is the biggest waste issue in our world. A lot of people don't care about that, though. They more care about, oh, my baby was making a signal and I want to honor that, and that's great. But think about what is happening with our earth. Really, it's a problem. None of them have biodegraded yet at all. That was number 7. Number 8, we know our babies are communicating it to us early on, and we want to help them meet another of their innate needs. So that's why we do it in the US. That's our philosophy. It's pretty darn intricate and intensive. I actually feel deeply every single one of those philosophical points, don't you? So interestingly enough, buying into this Western EC philosophical list of reasons can actually cause problems. Yes, I said it. Buying into all this ideology can cause problems for people. Some of them include, they can make us feel superior to other people who don't practice EC. It can help us alienate our friends by believing we're choosing a higher path and become a bit judgmental about them. It may cause us to put undue pressure upon ourselves to do EC perfectly. And take it from me, perfection is impossible. Another thing that could go wrong is we might feel like we have something to prove, and that ends up driving our practice instead of a cultural norm, complete with a supporting family all around driving our practice. So instead of it being something handed down, and we do it because this is what we do, some people feel like they have something to prove. We might become judgmental of ourselves, of others, and of the babies. I've definitely been there. Sometimes we become anxious and fearful because it's unknown and it's not handed down to us. And then we operate from a place of confusion and lack of clarity, and also defeatism, like, oh, I'm not doing this right, so I must be a terrible mom. So how to get out of the philosophical trap if you're in it in Western society? The best thing we can do under all these philosophical pressures of EC in the Western world is to realize we're doing it, just realize it, and then get some help staying grounded and continuing along with the process with ease and grace. So just get some support, get some help. I know there are a lot of resources out there, one of them being my book, which includes currently private support forum run by my coaches who I have hand trained. That's where we help people get past the philosophical burdens and their own perfectionistic tendencies. I've been there, and actually do EC in a positive, productive way, like one that's going to produce the results that we want, which is diaper-free by walking, really. Even if you don't choose my book, it's important to note that we feel all of this from how we've presented EC in our culture. It comes with a very light, bright, wonderful, shiny, sunny side and a very, very dark side. So we just learn to balance that and make sure that we're constantly shedding light on things like, hey, why am I doing this today? Why am I so stressed out? Am I putting undue pressure on us? Or am I going with my heart and listening? And seek support if you need some help balancing this for sure. Emily, thank you so much for this intriguing question. It was really helpful for me to do the research on and think about. Hopefully all the threads I pulled together somewhat answered your question. Now, everybody, please hop on over to the show notes at godiaperfree.com/147 and let us know what you've learned from today's show, what you think, and what you've experienced that relates to the philosophies carried, the non-philosophies carried by other cultures, and the philosophies carried by our own Western cultures. Again, I'll see you over there. Till next time, happy pottying, y'all. I'm Andrea Olson, and you've been listening to the Go Diaper Free podcast at godiaperfree.com, and I'll see you soon. Please reply below with those in the comments. You don't have to go over the blog for that. You're already on YouTube. Just comment below. Is there anything you learned, something stood out for you, something you're going to try today? I look forward to seeing that. Please hit subscribe and like, and I'll see you next time.